Good morning or good afternoon, whenever you're watching us. My name is Leonardo Lampret and welcome back to another episode of Skills and Tales. Today we're going to talk about is assault at work compensable within workers' compensation system. Let's talk about workplace fights, because not every punch thrown on the job knocks out a workers' comp claim. Do not worry, I'll just let myself out. But on all seriousness, under workers' compensation law, there is a presumption that if an assault happens during work, that is going to be most likely within the scope and course of employment. That means that the claimant starts with a pretty strong advantage at the time of the trial. The employer or carrier then has the uphill battle of proving that the fight had nothing to do with the job, that is just pure personal animosity. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The courts don't require a strong connections between the assault and the job, just any connection. Even a thin, almost flimsy link to work is enough. A disagreement over duties, a heated exchange about performance, even workplace tension bubbling over that can all satisfy the test. So what's the real question? It's whether the alteration started because of work or because of something personal that just happened to spill into the workplace. That's a factual determination left to the board, but it's up to you and your attorney to prove that it has nothing to do with the work. And don't assume the claimant loses just because they threw the first punch. Being the initial aggressor doesn't automatically kill the workers' compensation claim for the claimant. The employer still has to show the conduct was willful and deliberate, not just a spur of the moment reaction, and importantly, that it had no connection to the job. Now picture this, November 27, 2024. The claimant is an Amazon delivery driver doing exactly what the job requires. He's running packages. He was double parked on a residential street. That alone already sets the stage. Delivery drivers have to park like that sometimes. It's part of the job. It happens. Now what happened is that the whole iteration actually was captured on the video. He gets back into the van, drives a bit, and suddenly there's a tension. People on a stoop start yelling at him about his parking. One individual approaches the van and actually reaches inside trying to grab his phone. That's when things escalate. The claimant reacts, he extends his arm, gets out of the van, and within seconds it turns into physical alteration with multiple individuals. After a brief fight, he retreats. So the legal question is this compensable? Well, it depends. Under workers' compensation law, we start with the presumption. It happened during the work, so it's presumed to be within the scope and course of employment. The only way to defeat it is to show this was purely personal. But here, unfortunately, there was nothing personal. These are strangers, which could be potentially that it's not nothing personal. However, a motivation for the assault was directly tied to the job. He was double parked because he was making deliveries. The confrontation started because of that. That's your nexus. And remember, it doesn't have to be strong. Even a slender connection is enough, unfortunately. Now, what about their argument that the claimant got out of the van and engaged? Doesn't that make him the aggressor and therefore not compensable? Well, not necessarily. The board looked at that and said this wasn't a willful or deliberate. It was impulsive. He had just been confronted, his phone was grabbed, and he was surrounded, all because he had to do something that was work-related. That's a split-second reaction, not someone looking to start a fight just because he felt like it. The video that was produced during the trial supported that the claimant was not the initial aggressor. The other individual approached him first. So at the end of the day, the board decided this is compensable because the assault didn't come out of personal animosity. It came out of the job itself. And in workers' comp, unfortunately, that's all you need. And that's pretty much what happened in employer J.W. Warehouse Logistics LLC, WCB number G397-7985 from March 31st, 2026. The bottom line is that the carrier and employer and their attorneys will have an uphill battle to prove that the assault was not compensable. In the world of workers' compensation, even a bad workplace argument can turn into a compensable accident as long as the claimant can prove that the accident or alteration or the assault happened due to the work. Thank you and see you next time.